Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Inside Icon, where today I, David, your host, speak with Min about everything and anything that's going on in the Icon ecosystem. As of right now, it's the end of May. Min, welcome to another episode. I'd like to ask you, how are you doing, and how's your month been?
Yeah, hey, another recording. I'm very always super excited to be here, inside Icon. I think I'm getting used to this, so
Yeah, like the
uh,
markets are volatile, but this is the only like staple that you know is going to return. It's that recording.
yeah, it's been a month already, kind of question
Yeah.
in my head. But yeah, month of May has been great. I don't know if you heard the phrase of in the finance world, it's called sell in May and go away, which is, yeah, you haven't heard that before?
No.
Yeah, it's usually, there's this old saying where you sell in May because during the summer months, the trading activities are low and you buy back in, when after Labor Day. So
Okay. Okay.
hopefully, nobody took that advice or took that because the market has been great lately. So, um, a lot of good positive developments all around we could obviously talk more about.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I've been cracking on the, business development side. I know that you and a lot of people here have been finally, you know, been pushing a lot on BD side, since we have a lot of tech progress and things streamline, a lot of things that we could show for. So it's been great. Have been having some really fruitful discussions, which I can't really go into too details
Yeah.
about. Maybe I can, but things are moving and the weather's been great. So been personally been outdoors a lot as much as possible, getting some of that vitamin D and running, taking care of my health. I know that you've been riding your bike a lot, so yeah, it's a good
I
time to
have
do so.
not as successful as I would have wished, so I have a I'm gonna have to go back and do that again in better
hmm
shape. But the BD indeed is always hard. Like, you can't obviously explain exactly what you've been talking about in these early stages and whatnot.
Right.
Can't immediately throw that out there because it's something that you kind of work on, and it has to
hmm
materialize. But indeed, the conversations are easier, yeah, with
Yeah.
tangible products around the corner as well, which we talk about a bit later on. It really, yeah, it's a big difference when you can actually show working examples and the mechanisms. It just
Right.
it, yeah, people understand, they see the vision, and yeah, you can go places, you can take it places. So
Right.
yeah.
I think one key part that I want to mention, and I think this is a good time to mention it, is that I think back in the days when we were focused on, layer one, smart contract stability, a lot of, projects kind of looked at us as competitors, although we were always pushing for this interoperability, vision and standard and so forth. But now I think once a lot of our, key pieces have been built and we're showing that progress and we are actually being able to show that, we are complementary to a lot of other, blockchain networks. They're giving us grants, they want more partnerships and they're more open to talking to us. So yeah, I think just the perception and BD efforts have changed significantly, and I think that's obviously for the better for our network and our community.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I see that the same way. It's we're very complimentary to anyone who's active in Web3, really, and
Right.
where we're going just kind of opens up so much opportunity there.
Yeah. I'm
The
not I'm not sure if I'm supposed to share, but don't you and a few other people have um are showing up at, I think it's called the cookout, which is part of like the is it Avalanche community this week?
Yeah, yeah. So obviously we do AMAs, Twitter Spaces with Iconist DAO, which are public and on Twitter, for everyone to tune into on the Icon handle, that is. But now that we're moving to other ecosystems, and
Hmm.
Balanced is launching, is bringing cross-chain DeFi to Avalanche, and we get a chance to kind of speak with these other communities, and we get invited to join sort of private AMA sessions within these communities where they can kind of where we can showcase the product, explain it, answer questions about it, and kind of just spotlight it for a good 30 minutes to an hour. So we're doing one of those this week, and we've got more in the pipeline. So it's not necessarily something that you would see on our socials, but it's one of those outward marketing activities where we kind of try to spotlight the product,
Yeah,
bring it in, and tell people how you can use it, what's interesting and inspiring about it, and then we'll see further down the line if people hop along on the journey, on the balance journey, that is, in this case.
exactly. I think that's wonderful. Being invited to these, special, events, and obviously we have been invited to other, um, network specific or blockchain specific conferences this year, which we are also looking at and thinking through. So yeah, evaluating obviously. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean these opportunities are popping up, which is a very exciting time. So I think our community should be excited. And yeah, let's talk more about other things. I don't want to hold too much time just on this. I know we have a lot to talk about.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting on the conferences. It makes a lot of sense to go out and attend and speak and showcase and connect when, again, you have this product that is currently in this stage. So exciting months
Yeah,
ahead with several team members going across to different conferences across different continents, really. um
yeah.
yeah uh
It's wonderful that we have, because we went the, remote first work
yeah,
environment.
yeah,
So everyone's spread across the world. It's easier to get to these type of participate in these events, and
yeah.
it's, I think everything's kind of meshing and working out the way we wanted to. So um, yeah, very very pleased with the progress and everything that's been happening this year for sure.
I was thinking about that the other day, how it seems like we have sleeper agents in every continent, and whenever there's a conference, it's in someone's backyard. It seems like
Yeah.
the spread is like a normal distribution across like the median lines. But yeah, enough
Yeah.
on that. I was going to talk a bit about like more general stuff, because I wanted to ask you this.
Hmm.
I think this week the news dropped that the Ethereum ETF is likely to be what's it called, accepted, uh,
Yeah.
allowed in, and we saw this big pump for ETH, and I was just wondering, because we had the Bitcoin ETF being okayed, and we saw this massive, like, I don't know, pre-halving pump, and then this time around it seemed like it was a bit of a shock and then nothing. um, and I was wondering about your thoughts on this particular ETF being approved, and what that kind of means for blockchains like Ethereum that have the smart contracts and the software capabilities, as opposed to Bitcoin.
Hmm. Yeah, I think those are good questions. I mean, look, I think Ethereum ETF is a no-brainer. So there was a lot of debates a few months ago about a lot of people saying that ETF wasn't going to be approved. I mean, there's no way, but you know, in my opinion, it was a no-brainer. ETH was always going to follow, Bitcoin. Um, the real question for me and what others should be asking, I think others are already asking, is what's next.
Yeah,
So, um, but overall, I think these ETH, getting this approval. I know that it's not fully finalized yet, but it brings a lot of credibility to the industry, similar to Bitcoin. I think ETH just takes that to the next level. And obviously, other projects have the opportunity as well. But I think, to tell you the truth, I think a lot of other projects have a long ways to go. But obviously, there's a lot of hope now that there's a sort of a, uh, you know, ETH paving the way, being what you said, a smart contract. ETH, they did an ICO back in the days, and they got decentralized to a point where, they're getting approved. So I think that is sort of a blueprint that a lot of these other, projects can follow. And obviously, I think it's much more fair process than like getting listed on decentralized exchanges. So
Yeah.
it's much more transparent. So I think, I think that's going to be all a positive. For me, I think now that, is another question is, proof of work uh, consensus has been approved, right, with BTC. Um, Ethereum is a POS, so that's been, accepted. Kind of the next question for me is like, can something like, DPoS be accepted as well, be approved? So I think that's sort of going to be the next challenge or the next step. Um, and we're gonna, obviously, our community, we looked ourselves. I think Icon, surprisingly, I think a lot of people don't give credit to Icon or these DINO coins, right? We like to say DINO coins because we're
We do.
people
We
people
do
make
indeed.
fun of Dino coins.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a sad nature. But I look at Dino coins as something very positive. It shows the longevity, which shows stability. They are tested through time. So I think there needs to be sort of more acceptance and premium to projects that's kind of survived over the years. I think that shows how it is resistant to time, right?
Yeah.
So I think it just proves things a lot more, that the community is solid and together. But obviously, a project like Icon, although we see the market, and it's obviously we have challenges to go. I mean, we would definitely want a lot more validators to join. There's you know uh, I think those type of things would add to helping something like Icon take it to the next level. But at the same time, I think Icon is much more decentralized than 99% of the projects out there. We're much more stable than 99% of the projects out there. So in comparison, I know that people are always putting money or investing into kind of the sexier, newer type of projects. But, at the end of the day, a project like Icon is proven. And I think, eventually, I think these Dino coins that's, um, tested through time is going to be, more well respected.
Yeah.
And they are more respected, I think, in the kind of the inner circles.
Yeah. I think at some point the since 2017 or since 2018, like Mark is going to start becoming a strength indeed. Just a few more years to go, and then you can say that you're one of the oldest out there. Um, Hopefully, with our flywheel, our ICX burning flywheel spinning at full force. When you said delegate DPoS, you meant delegated proof of stake. That's what you're saying.
Right.
That's what Icon
Hmm.
is, and a lot of other proof of stake blockchains, and those are the ones where you vote with
Yeah.
your stake for your validators, whereas in a regular proof of stake, you just stake and receive a
Hmm.
interest rate from the network for doing so. So there's
Yeah.
slight technical difference there. Can we say that institutions have finally arrived now that the Ethereum ETF has been approved, or not yet?
I would say they have already arrived even before Ethereum. I mean, if you look at the big Bitcoin ETF holders now, I think the numbers are coming out or the names are coming out. Um, there are different states. You know, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe some pension funds, larger funds, are definitely buying into these. There's billions of dollars that went into Bitcoin ETFs. So I do think institutions have arrived, and it's only going to get better, right? With more as they feel more comfortable. So I think Ethereum ETF is another positive momentum, and I think that adds to if you've already bought Bitcoin, I mean nothing's going to stop you from for institutional investors to hold Ethereum as well. That adds more probably diversity.
Yeah, yeah,
Diversification to their portfolio as well. So
yeah,
yeah, I think it's only going to be. I'm very positive. I've always been positive, but just kind of it feels that 2024 these things has come in waves, like um, a lot faster and stronger than I expected. So,
yeah,
and things are rolling still, right? I mean, we have more clear regulation. Last week there's something called Fit 21, which has been a bill to on specifically crypto that's going to be submitted and voted on. So I mean, these things are happening in real time. So much better, I think, position than we were just a few months or a year ago.
yeah. And that's actually that's great news for adoption, regular
Yeah.
retail adoption. Hopefully, it will come sooner than later. We'll talk a little bit about that, I guess, when we touch off of Hana Wallet as well, as
Okay.
those things kind of go hand in hand. Um, First, I wanted to just mention Balanced launching on Avalanche. We're kind of in a live
Hmm.
situation. Yesterday in the Twitter Spaces, we had the news
Yeah.
that it had been delayed. The release on Avalanche was delayed due to an issue that was uncovered during the pre-release testing. Now, I meant to ask if you could elaborate on the situation or tell us what will happen next. Although I must also say that a couple of hours ago, the launch on Avalanche was announced for tomorrow, which would be 24 hours from now.
Yeah.
Uh, any news on what
Fingers
happened
crossed.
there? Yeah. Or
Yeah,
what might happen? Yeah.
first of all, very, kudos to the Balance Network team. I mean, obviously, Icon has started contributing as one of the members for Balance, but Icon has been involved. Parameta has been involved in this. Venture 23 has been involved in this. I think Parrot 9 has been involved in this. I'm sure I'm missing a few other names, but I mean, they've been working around the clock, losing sleep to get this thing launched. So
Yeah.
first of all, hats off to them.
Hmm.
Um, it really kind of came down to some unexpected, RPC endpoints, which a public RPC endpoints that was managed by one of the tech contributors, Parameta. So it's been sort of affecting not only Balance or Avalanche launch on Balance, but across all other applications as well. So you might have experienced some um, difficulties in the past few days on getting your opening up, I don't know, trackers, or I wouldn't say tracker. I think tracker is a different private RPC, but a wallet or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just
Wallets indeed.
yeah, navigating on Icon websites. I think that might have been affected as well. So, but it's luck. I mean, the fortunate part is that it happened and before the actual the
Yeah.
launch.
Yeah.
So, um, we didn't need to scramble after the launch. Yeah,
That's
but
that. That's the luckiest thing. I spoke with Anton. Anton's a weapon. The
yeah.
one of the main devs at Balanced,
Hmm.
and he did say indeed that you know this was not great, but
Mm-hmm.
the lessons learned are relatively cheap lessons because it happened in pre-release testing. That's what it's designed for.
Right.
And now
Right.
that fixes have been applied, and
Yeah.
we can move forward without too much of a scratch.
Yeah.
2 day delay, it looks like.
Yeah. I mean, I think 2-day delay is not even a delay in the software industry, right? It's so they're like you said that they're targeted to launch in Thursday. So we'll see.
Yeah.
It's never and it's never over even after you launch it, right? I mean, software development is very challenging. I think people are, take these things for granted. Take, our computers, how the internet functions, all these things. There are thousands and thousands of developers that's been working countless hours throughout the years building, so much codes and technology, the hardware to make communication and basically these applications on your phone function the way that it was intended. But 99% of the time it's never perfect, right? So you know it's amazing that we're able to even hold a computer in our bathrooms, or we could fly across a continent using the technology and software that these developers have built. So these small delays and accidents and these hopefully bugs are just part of everyday coding experience. And there's no human being, no company, big or small, has ever launched a product in a perfect you know form, right? That's
Yeah.
just not possible. So that's why you get software updates every single week or even like every other day from Apple or
I was
on
just
your
going to say,
iPhone. Yeah.
Apple tries to deliver a product that is
Yeah. Yeah.
flawless. But yeah,
It's just not
it's
possible.
part of the
Yeah.
industry, I'd say. So 2 days,
Yeah.
2 day
That's not
delay.
bad.
Yeah,
Not bad. Yeah.
yeah. And I think it's still well, it still is a prime moment. It is, the smart contracts, the smart contract engine that powers the whole balanced functionality is already cross chain. We know that because we're
Hmm.
purchasing the network. The network is purchasing liquidity cross chain, and arbitrageurs are already balancing prices and generating trade volume. But this is our first front end, deployment,
Hmm.
which is just great because it becomes something tangible and something that you can show off and see and use. So it's a big
Yeah.
moment, and yeah, 2 day delay. That's nothing. So
Right.
let's hope, fingers crossed, all goes well tomorrow, and
Yeah.
then Avalanche users will be able to use our flagship app as well, which would be exciting, I'd say.
Very exciting, obviously. Yeah.
Um, Yesterday on the Twitter Spaces, if you haven't heard it, you can go on Twitter to the
Hmm.
icon handle. It'll be there. Fez and I, mostly Fez, we talk about the NOL, the network owned liquidity,
Hmm.
um, that the network is acquiring, and why it's going to help us, generate more revenue over time, and how it kind of it's all asset backed. We
Right.
compared inflation rates, emission rates from different networks and protocols to see like what is commonplace, um, and how you can view it from different perspectives. So that was most of yesterday's spaces. So listeners
Hmm.
can go back and check that out. But Fez also dropped
Right.
some Hana wallet alpha yesterday, where he spoke a bit about mobile first approach. He spoke about debit card
Hmm.
application. Um, so I was wondering if you could tell us a bit more about the vision for Hana Wallet, because to me, up until now, it was a little extension top right that allows me to, navigate cross chain.
Yeah. I mean, um, obviously HANA Wallet is developed by another team. It has its own team. So obviously, HANA has its own vision. It's not my vision, but I think overall it's Hana has always sort of been aligned with our vision, our overall vision of what Icon is going to be and how Hana is going to play a role within this kind of community and ecosystem. So I think we've always been sort of aligned there. I believe that, the wallet race, especially the mobile wallet side of things, um, has only begun. So um, I say if you kind of look at the statistics, right? MetaMask used to like dominate the wallet space with this, Chrome application. It used to have like, I want to say like 99% a couple years back. They were very comfortable with their position, but I think that was sort of their um, mistake. They were perhaps too comfortable, um, and they've been losing market share pretty drastically, right, to other competitors. So I think honestly, MetaMask sort of had the first mover advantage, and a lot of these other applications and wallets are doing things differently, which consumers are obviously learning and finding out that they are actually enjoying these other wallets for simplicity or other reasons.
Yeah.
So, I think the consumers are still in discovery mode when it comes to wallets. And, I think Hana is going to be, one of the players that's going to provide something very different. And, I think all wallets are looking quite similar right now, but I think in a few years we'll have like very drastically different, type of wallet interface and functions that I think the race is wide open,
Yeah.
and I think it's going to become more and more fragmented to a point where I think people are just different, right? People
Mm.
like different colors, people like different speeds, people use trade different assets, people hold different assets. So I think a lot of these wallets are going to cater towards different demographics, and people are just going to have their, you know, preference, right? So, the way I look at it is that, the internet and mobile banking features. So, I know that, the internet banking around the world, everyone has kind of different experiences, but at least from my experience, um, a lot of these banking features, especially mobile banking features, has evolved like quite drastically just within the past, handful of years, right? So, and then on top of that, it still continues to evolve, even to this day, right? I think, I remember just using my Citibank, mobile application, which was like literally unusable like just a few months ago.
Hmm.
Um, and then now they drastically improved it, and it's so much like better for me to use. So, um, but obviously, I mean, I think like even like using something like Citibank mobile application is very different from using like a you know Chase application, and then if you use like go to Korea and you use like Korean application, it's very different as well. So it's like you know I think everyone will sort of find their niche and have their preference, and I think it will continue to evolve. So I think that's kind of the wallet, the way I see it. Hana, I think, has a lot of upside, and it's not a perfect product. By no means. I don't think there is such thing as a perfect product, but I think it has a lot of great built-in features, and there needs to make improvement in certain areas, which the team is already doing and working on. And then I think Hana wallet users have been very loyal. It's been a very sticky user base. And, I think as more people learn and discover Hana, I think it's going to be very beneficial, not only for Hana, but, for Balance Network, because Balance Network is sort of the primary swap application that is being used, and, which enhances Hana's experience. And on top of that, Icon is going to be a direct beneficiary as well.
Yep. Yeah, one of the main annoyances why I end up having anywhere between 10 to 15 wallets in the browser is having to switch wallet every time you want to interact with a different token. I guess that's why
Hmm.
MetaMask did so well for so long, because you could use it across these different EVM chains.
Yeah,
But at the same time, like, we're stepping over that, and there's more out there. And I think Hana has such a great value proposition where it's able to, offer you EVM tokens and all the other hot stuff. Basically anything that, you know, Icon tech, cross-chain tech is enabling, anything that Balance is connecting to will be showing up in Hana. And like
right.
you mentioned, the swapping functionality, the in-wallet swapping is a big thing.
Hmm.
The mobile experience is something, it's a tough nut to crack. I have tried several mobile wallets. I use them every now and then. And yeah,
Yeah,
it's especially the browsing applications, which is you have to do it in these in wallet browsers. It's just, there's something off there. There's something,
very clunky. Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, I haven't seen, like, I'll know it when I see it the right way, but I haven't
Hmm.
seen it yet. I hope that Hannah can make a difference there. Um,
Yeah.
Thinking about that. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it's gonna be very interesting how Hana team is like relentless, right? They're very focused on improving it, and yeah, I think it's gonna be great. And obviously with things that are happening, I think Hana team is very excited with the entire you know uh, the balance enshrinement
mm,
and network on liquidity, just all of that sort of enhances their own product as well. So I think we're all stepping in the right direction.
we should get them on. Fez and I should get the Hannah team on and
For sure. Yeah.
question them and exactly
Yeah, yeah.
what's keeping them busy and what's keeping them up at night. Okay.
I think so. Yeah, you should definitely bring on like the balance team, the Hana team. I think those would be like a very fun conversation as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a mental note. Well, it's on record now, so I'll be reminded. The
Cool.
uh talking about balanced, we have to talk
Hmm.
about the network owned liquidity,
Hmm.
the burning of ICX. The economic enshrinement was proposed towards the end of last year. We had network votes. We actually, the proposal was like, the community was providing feedback. It got changed up. And I think it
Hmm.
was towards the end of February when it got enacted. So the
Hmm.
enshrinement occurred, all went
Yeah.
well. And from that moment onwards, balanced trading fees started contributing to the burn of ICX, and the Icon network started acquiring network owned liquidity, which is then put to work in the balanced DEX as a working capital.
Yeah.
And yeah, the fees generated from that all attribute to the burn. It's been roughly 3 months. Balanced has now burned up and around 75,000 ICX. The Icon network has accumulated just short of $2 million worth of
Hmm.
liquidity. That's BNUSD. We're talking Avalanche, Binance Smart Chain tokens, Injective. Uh,
Yeah.
is there? What are your thoughts on the performance so far? Where we're at? There's people who say it's not enough. Do you think we're going to where we should be? I'm just curious as
Hmm.
to how you see it now. These numbers.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think the very happy that bunch of community members got together and was able to think of this like balanced enshrinement, which obviously when I first heard of it, I was very skeptical. But the more I dug deeper into it, I realized how ingenious this path is. I think brings a lot of structure and focus and a very lucrative revenue model for the network. So I think all in all, it's very very interesting proposal. And obviously, I think a lot of other validators felt the same way, which was easily much easier than I expected for this to be accepted and
Yeah.
approved by validators. So
Why is that?
um, I mean, I obviously, it's in a decentralized network, it's just very difficult to get everyone to agree on everything, right? And I think our past experiences just, when people have different opinions, there's a lot of kind of struggle going back and forth and trying to please all the stakeholders in the ecosystem, right? And on top of that, we have the balance community, which is like although balance, a lot of there's some overlap between balance community and icon community, it's not an exact overlap. So, pleasing, making this deal work, two DAOs or two decentralized networks, agreeing to, you know, in a sense, merge together for the
Yeah.
benefit of the greater community. I think that was, I expected some like, back and forth and fight, but, I think there's been only like one or two back and forth and just like, it got done, right? A lot faster and easier than like anyone I think expected. So, first of all, I think that was like very surprising, extremely surprising. Um, but overall, I think we're right where we want to be. We never expected this enshrinement to, you know, you know, I guess, launch us to a point where, it just like everything falls into the right place and everything just gets, accelerated, right? I think we are right where we want to be, where, I look at this as a marathon. We are sort of moving and climbing up from, I'll say like the middle of the path to, getting, farther and farther to the front. Um, Balance, I think has been a great, addition, obviously, where, it allows the NOLs or network owned liquidities to accumulate, and NOLs will continue to go up slowly, right? And obviously, with more NOLs, there's more liquidity, and with more liquidity, there's going to be more trades and transactions on the balance network, which also flows down to Icon's GMP cross-chain network usage and also the layer one usage. So all of that sort of complements each other like quite well. But and then we went from at the beginning of the year, right? I mean, you said I can't believe it's only been 3 months. It feels like just within a short period of time. We 3 months ago we started at zero. We had nothing, and it's been steadily growing to a point, right, where um, we're seeing results. And I think that's what all we sort of expected at this point is starting to show that the model is working, liquidity is there, more transactions are happening, and it's not like a hockey stick growth, but I expect at some point that we're going to see some level of exponential growth. It's going to take a while. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight, but with the right, I think, projection that we have, I think there's going to be a inflection point where we get some ignition and some more usage out of more people, and I think it's gonna you know I think at some point we're gonna see exponential growth. So
Yeah.
um, one thing I do want to mention is that I think you mentioned that on like Fez mentioned had to mention like inflation and how NOLs work, and I do also want to say that I think there's this continuous misunderstanding of NOL, how it works, and there's this very narrow, one-dimensional view that this is putting like a lot of sell pressure on ICX and causing ICX price to fall. First of all, I mean, you know, that those are not factual. First of all, there is barely any sell pressure given ICX's daily trading volume, right? And
Hmm.
then the
Hmm.
NOLs, how much is accumulating, is extremely minimal. Even compared to the all the other emissions, right? That goes to as validator rewards and staking rewards. So I would say at this point, staking rewards has puts a lot more pressure on sell pressure than the NOLs.
Hmm.
So I think those are the factual like parts, right? And then obviously, like, staking rewards, we need to do more to incentivize people to, you know, um, hold on to their ICX. I think that's like a whole different story, and I think we're doing that with by proving with the enshrinement and all of that. So I think you know we're headed in the right direction, but you know the NOLs itself is not causing ICX price to fall. I actually think it's like very opposite, where NOLs are actually different from like I said, ICX value exiting the ecosystem. NOLs not only captures the ICX value, but it makes it into a productive assets.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we're putting ICX to work to generate revenue for
Yeah.
the Icon network. And I think that is something that is undervalued or underappreciated by these, people who are, just making these like false claims about NOLs. So,
Yeah.
you know,
It's how people feel, and it makes
right.
sense that that's the first thought, of course. When you it might even be how I felt at the beginning, and then as I learned more about the topic, as I learned more about other networks, and I realized the business of proof of stake networks, the way that there's a lot of networks out there
Mhm.
paying between 8 to 15% emissions, just paying that
Mhm.
to stakers to stake. That is a cost that they carry all the time, every day.
Right.
And our number was so low compared to those ones, right? And
Yeah.
to now say we're gonna also we're still underneath a lot of those numbers, but half
Mhm.
of our emissions are literally being locked up in NOL, which you can look at
Right.
a pair. You can look at the BNUSD BNB pair, and you might see $400,000 worth of value there. That is
Mhm.
still $400,000 worth of ICX that we could, take off the market and burn tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, those are all facts, right?
yeah,
And yeah, and I think this whole idea about ICX inflation, which is I think a misnomer again. It should be emissions, and you know um, I think if you look at the facts, the ICX, in the past 7 years, if you compare it to a lot of the other networks or peers, is extremely minimal, right? We went from 830 million ICX to just over a billion in 7 years, right? That's
hmm
like
hmm
less than what, 20%, right? So yeah, it's like 20, like a lot of these other networks generate like 20% inflation or emissions like in less than a year, right? In a year or 2 years, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
like given 7 years, 20%, I think that is like phenomenal. And I think we've been, you know, doing a very good job. Our token economics is not perfect, but I think it's very good. And then there's a lot of data out there that kind of compares like, those 2017, market peak projects. Unfortunately, Icon sort of came out when the market was at the top.
hmm
And, I think that has, there's data that shows like, if you want your project to be successful, time it so that you're launching it during the bear market, right?
yeah,
That's when people, get the benefit and they're happy. And unfortunately, we as a project, if you compare to our peers, I mean, I'm not bad mouthing any other projects. I think some of those projects are very good, but if just compared to a lot of those like peak projects, I think Icon has done well. We're still above the ICO price. We're still I think have has and then all of that sort of like it's because I think I think I'm one of the very few founders that are still working hard on the project, and I think I still fully believe in this, in our vision. And my goal is to relentlessly work until I can't, right?
yeah,
So I think we've we there are things that we could have done better that was within our control, and unfortunately we did not. But there's a lot of other factors that we did not that was out of our control. So, like, but going back to this like kind of inflation, I think inflation within the 7 years time frame, like I think that's one thing that we've done a very good job of, and I think we should be very proud of. And I think people, if there's any arguments about how our icon inflation is high, those are just all factually not correct.
Right. Yeah, it would be helpful actually to have just an overview of industry standards and kind of seeing the position that we're in. But at the end of the day, it's not about, I guess, comparing emission rates to other chains. It's about what's happening
Hmm.
on the chain and what's the value proposition. Which, in our case, I'm very happy that we have 3 avenues of ICX burn right now in May, whereas
Yeah.
in January we had two. We had the layer one, and we had
Hmm.
the Xcall cross chain messages, and a couple of months before that we only had one. So we're looking at 75K ICX burned and accumulating $2 million worth of NOL within roughly 3 months. So I guess 3 months from now we'll just look at where we are and see if
Hmm.
that's growing faster or slower than we expected. But
Yeah.
yeah, the proof of concept is here. Like we can see the flywheel slowly
Turning. Yeah.
turning. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, that kind of brings me to the end of my questions. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I usually ask you if there's anything else that you wanted to mention or throw out there, or something that you've seen that you thought, hey, others should know about this. Then this is the moment to drop it.
I mean, there's a lot happening in our industry, right? As I mentioned, the whole U.S. regulatory environment has been very positive, at least moving in the positive direction. This Fit 21, I don't think it's a perfect bill, but I think it's, again, just having something like this is heading in the right direction. I feel, things that could really accelerate, uh, crypto even further are getting sort of our tax laws correct, right? Like things like staking rewards shouldn't be counted as a should it be ordinary income, right? So I think things like that, it's not just US but Japan, Korea, like a lot of these other countries are I think just wrong when it comes to kind of thinking about crypto, and I think those kind of progressions need to happen.
Mhm.
But I think overall, I think people are starting to understand, and with these ETFs coming, and all of that, I think things are, you know, I think things are looking brighter than ever.
Yeah.
I would say, like, I know that meme coins are all the rage right now, and I think there's been a lot of questions to me thrown at me about like how come I'm not doing any meme coins, or why aren't you more involved in meme coins? And you know, I am, the question, a lot of, people, have a hate love relationship. I mean, they hate meme coins. Some of them love it, but, you know, the ultimate question is like, are meme coins good or bad for crypto? I think there are, like I said, there are mixed thoughts, but I think at this point we just need to sort of accept it as, something that is unique to, crypto and in our industry. And, um, is it sustainable? I don't know. Like we'll see. Like, like everything else, like 99% of, projects are going to disappear and die, and there might be lucky enough to have maybe one or two or 1%, 2% like survive. So I think that's gonna be similar. So, like bet your horses on the right, you know, place your money on the right horses, or put your money on. Yeah, anyways, the saying. Um, yeah. So
I've
we'll
got a
see.
I've got
Yeah.
a thought about meme coins. I think they to me, as long as I still think that the Doge coin is a funny, I think
Hmm.
meme coins have a shot. And to me, it's still funny that they forked Bitcoin, put that dog on it, and called it
Yeah.
Dogecoin. And but it must have been now
It's
10 years
hilarious for
ago.
sure.
I
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I bought some, which I lost obviously because there were no good wallets. There was nothing good. Like what it It was the funniest thing to me, and it still is kind of funny. So I think meme coins have a shot. I'll let you know when the day that I stop thinking that that's funny.
Yeah. I guess one other thing is like I actually believe like the so-called DINO coins are going to make a comeback, so Icon included. It's like things that we're doing right now. I think with 7 years of development experience, I think we have a lot of good positive things going.
Yeah,
We've been talking. Obviously, Stellar is another Dino coin we've been working very close with, and they're starting to really like get trying to move things right. So we see them giving grants to not only Icon but to other projects, and they want more activity with their coins, right? And then obviously I've talked to some of the other ones that I shouldn't or can't mention today, but when we talk to these like kind of Dino coins or Dino projects, like I think they're very excited. They've been working hard, and I think there's going to be a comeback. So
yeah, yeah.
I
Dino
think I'm
season.
pretty excited. Yeah,
Dino
Dino
season.
season's coming.
Vintage Dino. Okay, I like
Yeah,
the sound of that, and yeah, I think there's definitely truth to it. So I can back it. Uh, be crazy if I
we'll
wouldn't.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
um, all right. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of Inside Icon. If you're still here, thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe and tell your friends about it. And Min, I just got to thank you for taking the time to run us through your thoughts again and talk through what's going on. And
yeah.
to everyone else, I would say see you next month. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.